a bit rainy Sunday in Portugal here. And so our initial plan was to sit on top of the mountain on the building site with the stream, but unfortunately the weather has made us choose the kitchen. And the kids are here because there's no one there that could babysit, which is fine. But so you'll have to deal with this from time to time.
Wat wil je, schat? Zullen we het boekje pakken?
Well, and one of the reasons why we did what we did and chose to do a live stream this week was because we had a bit of a rough week with Sissy dying, and unfortunately, she fell ill and didn't eat anymore. So we brought her to the vet, and after a few days, we got the call that there was nothing really that they could do. She had something in her brain, and in order to find that out, we needed to fly or move her to Coimbra, and and then even that would not necessarily secure her survival. And the other thing was that she had a herniated gut, or at least some part of her gut came out of her, out of her, so she couldn't really eat, or she didn't want to eat anymore. And that was on Friday. We had to go to the vet and say goodbye with the four of us, and it was quite emotional. We can only think about the fact that she was here for 2 years and had a good end of life retirement, and she is now at the eternal hunting grounds, doing her thing, of course. Yeah.
So that was a little bit sad and a rough week. We did already plan to do a live stream, but it was good that we did, because we didn't do much else than going to the vet a couple times. So
and the rest of the time I've been working with the excavator, chipping away at the road. So the last video about the road was that we tested it, driving over it. And then you can really find where the really narrow spots are that need some more attention. And that's what I've been doing. I've made a parking space on the top, and that is still work in progress. But it's the time of the year that we can do that, and it's not super dusty or a fire risk. Are there any other things that I've been doing? I'm doing a lot this week, but there was like a dark cloud over everything. That was mainly it.
So maybe, I'm not sure. Ja, Bo, dat is een eiland. So I think for this stream, other than just sharing our rough week, was to kind of talk through some of the things that we've been doing off camera that will be in videos later. And kind of just talking through what we're up to over the next couple of weeks. Or months. So dit is afleidend.
Kom maar hier. Okay, you talk, Leia. I'll just deal with Bo.
So, wait. What was I saying?
What are we going to do in the next weeks? What are the projects that are already on the go?
Oké, ga maar even met hem spelen, want ik kan zo niet nadenken. Hi Kate. hi everyone in the chat. I can read your messages, but I feel like there's a little bit of a delay, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. Very happy to hear that other people also are getting rain. We really needed it, or it's only just starting now. Yes, never film with children or animals. A very good tip. And never try to film with an 18-year-old, or at least not live.
18-month-old.
18-month-old. Yeah. So I've been trying to kind of restructure how we do videos, but that's an ongoing project. So one of the great things that we already did, and that's a work in progress, is wine harvest. To talk about something more fun, we have our own vineyard, but the drought this year was very rough on our grapes, and because they're not irrigated, they just kind of shriveled up and died during the heat wave in June and July. So we weren't really planning on doing any wine this year because we couldn't. And then our friend very kindly offered for us to come harvest there. Because they didn't have they just bought the place and they didn't have any plants or equipment to do all that. So that was a couple weeks ago, before that first rain that we had, and it was really crazy. We were there on Saturday, and then on Sunday we were like there harvesting, getting everything together. Because it was gonna rain on the Monday, so we did a really quick harvest, and that was really good. And now it's just bubbling away until we can taste it. But because I want to do, or I'm trying to do some of the bigger projects all in one video, as with the road, it's not super interesting to show a little bit every time. So I'm gonna publish that winemaking video whenever we bottle the wine, so that might be a while, but later in the winter at least. So yeah, that's one of the things that we've kind of been doing off camera, and that's gonna be a fun video hopefully soon. And then yeah, someone's saying we did olive harvest last week.
Yeah.
That's I don't know if you're in Portugal, but that's very early for Portugal. Here the Portuguese flavor is a little bit different. We harvest later. In Italy, for example, they already start in September, and here we start in December or November, December. And yeah, so we're kind of also gearing up to start doing that.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll have much from our own property here, because the trees are having a rest year, I think. And it's always a combination of things, so probably also the drought, or the dry winter, and then the whole drought situation probably didn't help. Oh, heb je lekker eten?
Yeah.
So we're kind of
figuring
out where we're gonna harvest and gathering all the things that we need for that.
Yes. Yeah, we are trying to, we have the variador, the olive harvesting machine, and that is set up to work on 12-volt car batteries, and we want to try and make it work with the Blue Eddy. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do, is to put like a car, hook it up to a car battery thing, or like a cigarette lighter connector, and hopefully that will make us or make it possible for us to harvest all day, because with the car battery you do notice after an hour or maybe two that it starts to slow down a little bit, and yeah, there's no way to check the car battery's charge on the machine, so you just have to guess, and then you stop and you put it back on the charger. And with the solar charger generator, we can check it on the screen or even on our phone how far the battery is drained, and hopefully we can do much more and yeah, not be
much quicker,
much more efficient, not have to go back and forth all the time to charge the battery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me read some of the comments. Yeah. Woo.
Bo, waarom moet je zo gillen?
Ja, ik word hier it's pruning the olive trees. They won't give fruit if those branches are pruned like a leap year. Yeah, we haven't really hard pruned for the last few years. But they're clearly having a rough time still.
Yeah. Well,
some of the trees.
Yeah, some of the trees. Yeah. Well, the ones that we've done on the top, they seem to be all right. And we've pruned them a few years ago. Yeah, so they are coming back into production at different times. And we've pruned them at different times as well. So, yeah. There's clearly this is a cycle that we are not familiar with enough yet to be able to predict how many olives we'll have by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that's something that we still have to learn.
Yeah, but as is, I don't know if I ever talked. Bo is certainly stealing the show. Just to quickly answer, yes, we will be selling more olive oil again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just have to, I really want to get the UK shipping figured out. It should be doable, but I'm kind of, I don't know, the EU-UK situation is still kind of complicated.
To put it mildly.
To put it mildly. And then, yeah, we just have to pack everything again and get it shipped. And we also want to look into cheaper shipping, because I do realize that the shipping was not the cheapest, but it was what we could do for a first time just with the regular post, and because you're still shipping at least half a kilo, it can add up. Wat is er, Bo? Oh, deze wil je. Ja.
Yes, it can add up.
So now we're trying to look into, can we ship with a particular shipping company that can do it cheaper? Because now we know that you guys want to buy it. We can say, okay, we expect this many orders. What can we do?
Yes.
So we will be selling it. But as part of our kind of... my future plan, at least, is to also start harvesting at other people's places. People who are not able to harvest their own olive trees for whatever reason, because they live far away, or they have too many, or they're too old, that kind of stuff. So we're also, every year, we're kind of working on building those connections and seeing what we can do there.
Yeah, and also build our equipment towards that goal, as in I want to be able to give something in return, of course, for harvesting their olives, and that would be to maintain their land. And I want to focus on that niche between having a big olive grove where you can go on with the tractor, and do it like that. That's not what I want to compete with. I want to focus on those places that are too small to get into with equipment, so you can only go in there with small rotovators type thing.
Yeah.
And cut the grass and maintain it, and then take the olives as payment at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that would be my focus, or our focus, and hopefully that will be a beneficial relationship with people
Yeah.
for years on end instead of just once.
But that's the future. If you want to get onto a list for selling olive oil, wait, I'll say I'll put the our website in the chat here, and there is a contact form that you can fill in to get on the email list.
Yeah.
It's really simple, ortavelia.com. And also put it in the description later. And there's a form there that you can be on the email list, and we'll start sending out emails when we're ready to ship things.
Yeah, which will hopefully be sooner than last year in summer. Or
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
End of July.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. We'll do it sooner this time.
Yeah. Really well done harvesting 350 kilos.
Yeah.
That's quite a big job. Puck is 4 years old at the moment. Just scrolling through to see some questions. She's 4, she will be 5 in April.
Yep.
Can you use the dried grapes as raisins? Not really, because they weren't mature yet. So they just kind of, for the plants, they just decided this is not going to be our year. Dan staat hij dichter bij de computer. Ja. Misschien daarop?
Toddler, yeah, that's fine. No.
So they just kind of drop a fruit to preserve the plant itself. We had the same with our apple trees. They started producing apples, and then you can see tiny dried up apples on the tree.
Yeah, which was a huge downer, because I've been eating those apples for 2 years now, and now we finally owned the land. I thought, oh, now these are my apples, essentially. And now there were no apples on it.
No.
So we'll have to wait until next year. That's how things go sometimes.
Maybe Bo can do his own. Bo's certainly very chatty.
Yeah. Very chatty, and
busy.
He's very performative, as in he's jumping up his stool, and jumping down. And
Someone is challenging you to a dance-off.
yeah.
But he didn't spell your name right.
No,
so
exactly. I don't know.
we don't know what's going on there.
There's not enough alcohol in the world for me to dance on the internet. That's, no.
Yeah. Just one second. Yes, our children are certainly entertaining. No, we can't make any cider because we have no apples. We also have a lot of wild apples, which is usually where you make the cider from.
Well, we have mostly wild pears.
Wild pears.
Yeah, we have from the top of the land all the way down into the valley bordering the new property. There's a line of pear trees, but they are very high in the brambles, or very deep in the brambles, so it's very hard to harvest them, and they are very, very small, so you would have to harvest a lot. And so one of the things that I was looking at was Queen's wine, or Queen's liqueur, something like that. And for that you need a mixture of quince and pear and apple, or that's one of the recipes. And that would be a thing that I would like to try, but then again we don't have apples now,
No.
Just a few. Well, we do have wild pears, but yeah.
And not really a good place to store any fermenting alcohol.
No.
So
Yeah.
one day when we have a good cellar.
Yeah. It's currently in the camper van. Our wine is fermenting for the second fermentation.
Yeah.
That's how
fine.
desperate we are for space.
Yeah.
That's true.
Do you have a pomegranate on your land? Yes, we planted one,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of the trees that's actually doing really well. I now saw that one of the Nesperaera, the small ones, it's a loquat tree.
Yeah.
The small one is not looking so happy.
No.
So we keep planting and keep trying, but the pomegranate is looking pretty good. So in a few years, we'll hopefully have some. Okay.
Pomegranates.
Pomegranate. Sorry, I just saw a weird looking comment.
Yeah.
I've heard about the bad. Antonio saying that it's a bad fruit year in general for apples, pears, plums. It's also I'm definitely noticing that in the pricing in the supermarket as well. They
are
much more expensive than usual. So that's kind of will je daar? Yeah, this makes total sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's a little sad and annoying, but it is what it is.
It's the ball. Pop.
We have 3 wells now.
Yeah.
We don't use it for drinking water, so most of it is for irrigation. Mostly because we haven't gotten it tested. You can pretty easily, from what I've heard. We do have a Berkey water filter, but because we are on clay soil, that gets really quickly it gets clogged. So we have to clean it a lot. So right now it's just kind of easier sometimes to get water from the local fountain.
Yeah. Well, and another thing, and that's I'm just gonna dunk on Berkey for a moment, because they make these filters with plastic screws, where you then have to put a nut a special nut on, and that nut is size 11 or some other imperial size, but there's not a 10 or a 12, so I can't find any other replacements and have to order from them a replacement, which
it's something we don't love.
No, we don't love that, because it would be very easy to just get a European version of that filter with a normal sized metric thing.
So, but hopefully we only have water in the small well right now. It did come back up after we pumped that water the other week.
3,000 liters. 4,000 liters.
So that's really good and promising. The other well is still very low, but hopefully this week of rain will get it back into shape.
Yeah,
you can see it one side where it comes in. It's really wet all the time, but it's clearly not enough to fill it back up.
No, but it's stable now, which it was before. It was dropping, even though we were not pumping from it. So that is better, I guess.
What were your most successful harvests this year? It's been a rough year.
Yeah.
We still have lots of tomatoes.
Yep.
Even though I planted a lot less plants. The peppers did okay. The small Pladron peppers.
Well, and I think
other than that,
it depends on how you define success. I mean, the success of planting something that is very productive. I think the amaranth could be there, and also the sorghum is doing really well, despite all the harsh weather. So in that sense, for our future calorie crop type thing, these two experiments were very successful.
Yeah, but all the other stuff that we do that's more reliant on the weather, so the olives and the grapes and the honey, which are our three main cash crops,
Yeah.
they didn't do so great. So
No.
yeah, we're definitely thinking about getting irrigation into the vineyard because we do have a well there. So that's going to be a project to get that done. Just so that when the grapes are getting established, we can pump some water in there if we need to.
Yeah, for a year like this, you could like once a week, you could go there and run irrigation or set it on a timer or something. You wanna? Okay. You're
Okay,
being very annoying and confusing. He knows you're getting our attention, and he doesn't like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No. Yes, so that's on the to-do list, but this winter we do really want to focus on getting the house started and not getting... We could fill our whole winter with these kinds of projects, planting more things and getting more into irrigation done, but we want to pause that kind of stuff for a little bit to start on the house.
Yeah.
So yeah. Misschien kan je daar nog wat meer over zeggen.
Yeah, well, we're in the process of getting everything sorted for the house. Of course, the last little dots on the I's need to be set for the or put on the road, so we can drive up in all weather. And after that, I want to focus on that. I'm drawing in SketchUp. I'm drawing things that I can discuss with architects and to see how things should be done, to get it up to code and things like that. So it's a process that will take a while, but now I can focus on that because I first need to see what I am working with. So it's slowly taking shape as I'm creating the area. So it's it doesn't have to be fast, and there won't be any videos about it in like short bits. We want to show decent steps. So there will always be other things that need to be done to keep this place running. And that's what always will take time from that project, but that's like my main project, and all the other ones are side quests.
That hopefully we don't get too distracted by.
No.
It's Didi saying it's amazing how the well fills back up.
I need like something.
Bo
Just drop kick for a second.
fell. Yeah, that's. So this new well is even more amazing than we had thought, because even now in such a dry year, it started to fill back up. So it's in that sense it's even better than the big one that we have in the garden. So I'm really happy that we were able to start buying up that part of the valley there. Wat is er, Bobo? Wil je drinken? Nee?
Okay, cool.
Glas? And I'm just thinking also because our friend Nathan bought a connecting terrace and then a little bit of the hillside there. I always just keep thinking it's gonna look so amazing in 5 years because lots of people already did a lot of work on getting all those terraces and all those trees in, and we get to kind of restore that and make it look amazing again. So let me see. I have to go. Thanks for coming. Bo wants his own life. He really does. At least with the 4-year-old you can put on a little bit of YouTube for them, but not for little Bobo.
Wow. It's Paw Patrol all the way.
Yeah.
Look.
It's a
Yeah.
question of irrigation to be able to deal with a drought. Yes, but irrigation is also kind of tricky because the water has to come from somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're also thinking of planting more grapes, and for those we do really want to look into varieties that need less water than the ones that we have right now. Yeah, so we don't really want to plant a bunch of tropical things that need a lot of water, and more kind of experiment with things that don't need much of that.
No, I know there are like techniques being taught on the internet that you are essentially able to plant whatever you want anywhere. Yeah, sure, but those things will need a lifetime of attention, and even beyond that often. And we do want to make things that will be able to survive on their own if it gets abandoned at some point. That after 40 years of abandonment or whatever, yeah, they still grow, or it's still able to produce fruit and things, and yeah, or are not as invasive as certain things could be.
Het beeld viel even weg.
Are we back? It's raining now. Yeah.
We are frozen.
Are we back? Yeah, I think we might be back. Maybe it's just on our end. I don't know. We'll see it in the after recording. What I was saying was that we want to plant things that will survive on their own after a while and do not get out of hand, because you do also have people that plant mimosa, which is not allowed here anymore.
No.
Because it's very invasive. It's a nice tree and whatever, but it will get out of hand. Even if you keep it under control throughout your life, you will die at some point, and then it will just be able to spread out. And yeah, that's and they are terrible, because I just found out with building the roads or access roads on Nathan's land that they make like a blanket underneath the soil of roots, and any place along that root system, new mimosa will pop up. So I will have to do more scraping and go further down to get rid of all those roots as well. And yeah, so it's a beautiful indicator of spring with the yellow flowers, but it's not a thing that you are allowed or should plant, or similar things that will get out of hand.
No. Yeah, mimosa are kind of like the brambles of trees.
Yeah.
They only need a little bit of roots, or even just a stick buried, and then they're like, oh, let's pop up here.
Yeah.
So yeah, never a good idea in our opinion, but also, yeah, not to talk about other people too much, but for example on YouTube you see a lot of, we take a bunch of swales in the desert, plant a bunch of trees, because that's what certain permaculture teachers teach. But those trees will always need irrigation here, just because they're a lot of the times they're not native or not suitable for this climate. So they will always need to be watered, and that's not something that we're interested in to do all the time. So we do have our small orchard, but we don't want to do anything a larger scale that will need to be watered all the time, because I think this year was an anomaly, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen again, and I don't want to have a bunch of dead trees on my land.
No.
Because I was too excited about all the trees I could plant.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
Well, and even with the irrigation that we have put in for the trees, the drip irrigation, it worked fine, but there were still trees struggling, and we had a hazel die because it just got too hot on days. It was above 45 at points, and yeah, well, even even if you have that, then or when you have that, then it doesn't matter how much water you give them; they'll
Yeah.
just burn up.
Yes. The linden trees are very nice, Barbara says. That's very true. We have some in our village here, and I'm thinking of trying to see if we can still get those established, because they're really nice and they get such a beautiful smell. Why don't you think about plastic containers in the bottom where you can control the groundwater level, so the water is not disappearing into the ground? So yeah, that just sounds like a rainwater catchment system. It's on the list. I'll just keep it at that. It's on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of work to get larger tanks established, and we do want to work more on the different ponds that we have.
Yeah.
We have some ideas. They'll be in future videos.
Time,
So, yeah.
priorities. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
House building first, and then just buy up all the wells around you, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Our next house will also be off grid. Joppe.
Yes.
Because yeah, we are fairly close to a water tower and electricity on the land, or not on the land, but on the adjacent land. And we therefore could hook up, but yeah,
But that's beer.
that's not our
That's
dream.
for Mama.
Our dream is to be off grid and not to pay overhead costs, or yeah, that's one of our goals, is to lower our overhead to keep our lives going. And that's
Ja, Bo,
the
ik snap
opposite.
niet wat je wil.
The bottle?
Ja, wel bier, maar dat mag
Yeah,
niet.
no beer for you.
No.
No, I know. You have to wait.
So in Dutch, but the question is, are there other tree species that are forbidden to be planted? Officially, you're not allowed to plant eucalyptus anymore.
Yeah,
Because, as you say, it's kind of crazy that there's so much eucalyptus here. It still happens
yep,
all the time.
yep.
Yeah, but that's another reason why we want to be a lot more conscientious about planting native species
Yeah.
that are supposed to be here, and not a bunch of trees from Australia, because they just take over,
Yeah.
as you know, and we're not a fan. We were, yesterday we were closer to Fundao, and it's just amazing how much more variety they have there. So I was seeing a lot of chestnut, and I don't see much chestnut here, but I think that's also a temperature/water
Yeah.
thing.
Well, and it was a friend we were visiting, and they have a fig orchard, or many different fig orchards. But all these trees looked amazing, and
Yeah.
they were producing. And here, yeah, around here, a lot of the fig trees are just struggling. Yeah, so it's an hour away from here, more or less, but the climate is different, and they get more rain, yeah, to deal with the climate here, you have to really observe what's going on here, and maybe look further south to even across the Mediterranean, and look for ideas in Morocco or Algeria, or just the whole desert people, or well, that's not the term. The people living in the desert and in higher temperatures, because that's the thing we're dealing with, and not not
It will never be wetter.
no.
Or as wet as it used to be. So yeah, we do want to look at more trees that are supposed to be here, but also a little bit further south. Next house will be off grid, yes.
Sorry, I already answered that.
Yeah.
Is your yurt holding up? Kate's hi, Kate.
Yeah.
former classmate. Yes, the yurt is holding up. We just put up a new cover on it. It lasted. The last one lasted 3 years.
2.5.
2.5, yeah. And the new one hopefully lasts just as long, because then hopefully we will be able to move out of the yurt into our new house by then, which would be nice.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, you are. Yes, we are both well educated. No?
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah. We both have our master's degrees. I have a master in international political theory from the University of St. Andrews. It's just philosophy, basically political philosophy. And Martin was more focused on the media side of politics.
Yeah.
But then the question is, are your educations helpful in our current venture?
Well, that's always the
Depends.
thing with studying things that are a bit more abstract, is that in certain sense they do help us now, or they led us to this. That's more how I would see it. We learned a lot during our bachelors and masters, more so during my bachelor, I think, than my master, but whatever, about how the world works and how things are done. And we said no, and or at least we tried to make it less impactful on ourselves, and that led us to this type of lifestyle, in essence, and it led to
I
meeting
think
each other. But,
that's a good
Yeah.
thing that came out of that.
Yeah.
We met there. But I think when I was young and naive, I used to think that,
You're still naive.
yeah. True, that I could start working for these big institutions like the European Union or the United Nations or that kind of thing, and really start working towards getting things better. And I think what we realized, especially during our first couple years studying those institutions, is that you can't change them from the inside because they're way too big and they're set in a certain set of beliefs that are not ours, and that will never. They're going where they're going, and we're going where we're going. So I think we realize that the only place where we can have an impact is our direct environment and our relationships that we build with other people, and really take care of a community.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're here, and
Yeah.
that's part of why we do this, to show people how things can be done, and that you can just fail a bunch of times and then try another thing, and that's all part of trying to make something better.
Yeah.
So it was helpful in some way. We still have some student loans to pay off, but nothing as bad as some other people. So.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
we don't make enough money to have to pay them back. So
we were
just
lucky in
keep
that
that going,
sense, yeah.
and then they'll be gone at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do a quick fire round before I come back to the question. Where are you in Portugal? We are in the Castelo Branco district. We are building an underground house. Yes, we're digging into, or Martin is digging into the hill, and then we also want an earthen roof. So it will be a nice little cave. LEC was taught us many things, yes.
Yes.
We are, Martin is doing some finishing touches to the road up, and then he's going to continue on the place where we started digging for the house.
Yeah.
But we first wanted to make sure that if we need a car or a delivery kind of vehicle there, we could get it there.
Yeah. Yeah, and also the thing was that I needed to get the digger up there, so I needed to get a path up there anyways, and so that it made sense to start on the road. and it would add value to the property anyways, because it makes it much easier to maintain the top bit. Which, if you have to haul your strimmer up every time, or your chainsaw and stuff, I can do it now, but I know that in 30 years or so, I'll be happy and thanking my young self for making a drivable road up there.
I like your book, Contrasting. So about the hair of our children, I don't know how to dark brown hair people made a blonde and a redhead, but we did. So I'm happy you like seeing them around. We will move the gardens to the new couple terraces where we have the new, very well working well. And I think down there we'll do bigger crops of things, so a large field of sorghum or amaranth or that kind of thing. And I think then I wanted to talk about the question, would we still recommend buying in Portugal for land? Because that's a useful question, I think.
Yes. Well, if you focus on Bo for a bit, then I'll try and answer that question, because I think that it really depends on what you want to do. I think the prices are a bit inflated now, due to people worldwide, or at least in the Western world, buying up properties in rural areas to be able to flee the hustle and bustle, especially while things were in lockdown and things like that. And I think we are still at that after effect of that. But I also think that we are at the beginning of a recession, and I think a lot of things will change and become less affordable for people, because they will have to focus on other things. I wouldn't buy now, because I feel like this is like a peak of prices, or a bubble of prices that's currently happening,
and not as large as bigger cities in the Netherlands or something. So but that is not to say don't come to Portugal, because I still think it's a great. Well, we're still here. We love it here. It's a great country, and I think that question also comes from, we see all the drought. We see how hard it is to be able to farm here, and that really depends on, I think, how you kind of tackle the problem. For us, we just see what works and try to work with what we have, and we don't mind that. Well, we love that challenge, but I also think that for some people maybe it's too hard, because the summer can really take a mental toll on you. Also, just because it's too hot to do anything and you have to sit around, and that can be mentally really hard on you. So it just really depends on what you can handle. And I mean, we are in the extreme. Closer to the coast, it's more expensive, but it's not as extreme as here. So that's why we also always recommend to first drive around and see where you like it, and see where you like the people and the landscape, and where you think you can settle down.
Yeah, I also think that you shouldn't necessarily focus on the country of Portugal. I think if you look at the Iberian Peninsula, there are places where you can still live, also in Spain. But it's more about, you have to realize that this is a place that has its own challenges, and they may be different than where you're from. I mean, for instance, coming from the Netherlands, you would think, oh, it's always warm, it's always sunny, everything grows, you can just grow. But there is a moment where it becomes too hot to grow things or too dry to grow things, and so the idea that you would be able to endlessly grow, it's an illusion, and the same goes for taking up goats or livestock in general, is that you have to consider your water first, and that is unusual for a lot of people. They just think, okay, we have grass and it's spring, so we put all the goats on there, and then 2 weeks later the grass is gone and you still have all the goats. And there's no water, maybe.
And that's another thing that we only recently learned, is that the traditional way of having lamb is was it in the fall, you said? At least not, maybe up north we're more used to having a lamb in the spring. But here, because they know it's going to be really dry in the summer, they at least used to didn't have babies during the summer, but in the fall, because it doesn't get so cold that it's hard on them, and it makes it easier to manage your flock. So with all the challenges that this country or this area brings, I would still recommend it if you're up for the challenge. And but that depends on you.
But it's not like a walk in the park here.
But it's also not that scary, I think. At least not for me.
No, it's not scary, but we are not scary or people who are easily scared. But that.
Let me see. Castelo Branco is and was cheap because it's dry. It's always been hard, and that's why people left in the first place. It's hard to farm here and make a living. So we try to be creative in that sense. Barbara's saying building materials are becoming expensive. Yes, we know.
Well, they have been for 2 years now.
Yes,
they have gone up so much.
Let me see. It would be nice to research what used to grow in your area. Sometimes things are cut down. Yes, so they go extinct. Yes, I definitely still want to look into that more. And
and we are learning from people here. I mean, this thing about the sheep lambing in fall. I read in one of the local Facebook groups from one of the old guys sharing an article about that, and my reading skills in Portuguese are getting better, so I'm able to read that article and learn more, and I hope that will only continue as I learn more Portuguese, which brings us to the next thing.
We started a course. So of course I bought an online course because we were waiting for the one in the village to start up, because we were promised that by the Presidente. But then it didn't happen, and so I was like, okay, we need to start getting this done. So I bought an online course for someone I followed for a while on Instagram, and I really like her. And I'm kind of the student who will only pay attention if I like the teacher. So she just started making this online course. I bought it from her, and then we got the flyer. Hey, the lessons are starting. Here's where you can sign up. I think we're gonna do both, because it's also really good to kind of be in a safe space to practice and ask more questions in person. But we're gonna do lessons in the village.
And it's focused on conversational Portuguese, so it's not no grammar or anything. And then we have the course,
The online course
to
is
learn
more.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
She also explains grammar and.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really good.
Yeah. Excited, and
excited.
we can bring this little one, and it's during a Puck's school day, so it's perfect. Yeah.
Finally.
Muito bom.
Muito bom. Have you thought of trying vermiculture?
That's yeah.
Yes, it's on the list. I will try it sometime. We do have a bath, but
Well, and we do have a lot of worms already in the ground in the garden, so we are doing vermiculture without actively doing it. So we are really happy with how how many worms we have in the garden now.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We're making it complicated again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy you are learning something, Didi. Yeah, we're learning new things all the time. And we both like to listen to podcasts, and when it comes to agriculture and ecology, now the dog is here. Yes. We love to listen to a podcast called Portugal's Almanac, and they really go with a more scientific mind into what's good for the ecology, and so that's where I learned a lot about the reasoning behind why it's good to plant natives instead of other trees.
Louis' boyfriend just showed up. Neighbor
Yes.
So
Yeah. Okay.
we are no longer important or interested.
So check out the Four Pros Almanac. We love those guys. Yeah, really good to learn about ecology.
And other things.
And other things. Okay, so someone is saying planning to move to Portugal, but because of the high prices is now looking at Italy.
Yeah, go live in Patrick's nation.
Italy, when we were looking at, okay, where are we going to move? Because we decided Netherlands was no longer an option. Of course, we also looked at Italy, but I think it's also good to look at a country's history, at least the last 100 years, and kind of the political landscape of that country and where it was and where it might go in the future. And I'll just keep it at Portugal suited us better than Italy in that case. So yeah, Italy's certainly an option, and I think it's a beautiful country, but that was our consideration of not choosing not choosing Italy. Someone, sorry. Do you guys have a social life? Well, Nathan, do we?
That's my part that I come down. I was sitting watching this in bed. And I thought I should probably make an effort.
Yes, we have a social life. Yeah.
When I remember it, I get too drunk. Well, I don't really. I remember being good.
We just prefer not to film on other people's properties, and yeah, we like to show the farming side and the building side, but not the other things. A lot of livestock. Yes.
You never got any love from these guys.
Pig's Portuguese is good. They're learning every day. Yeah. She really loves school, and yeah. They have a great teacher, so
Yeah.
from Alaska to Portugal. That's going to be an interesting.
I lost it.
No,
That's
it's
very
the right
cool.
time to move because Alaska is getting cold now again.
Yeah. Are you planning on making wine? So we're back to where we started.
Yeah.
Yes, there will be a video on that shortly.
Yeah.
And a wine tasting.
And a wine tasting.
Yeah. Well, the tradition here is to do a tasting at my best day, St. Martin.
Yeah, San Martino.
San Martino
So-
at the 11th of November. So yeah, on the 12th of November, if that's Sunday, you'll get
I don't know.
a video about that.
We'll see.
Already looking forward to it, and Nathan too, because he drank a lot of the wine from last year as well. So yeah, maybe he enjoyed it very much.
Yes, it was a good wine.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, where is Italy going politically?
Well,
Not
it's-
the place where we would like it.
No, but I'm also not too informed about Italian politics, as in I haven't been following it. The only thing I know is that she is a neo-Nazi. That's essentially it.
I don't think you're allowed to say that on
Oh,
YouTube.
I'm sorry. That's what. Yeah,
Yeah,
she would like. She would describe herself that way. So I don't.
Yeah,
think we
I don't
should
know.
Find that.
the foliage behind us is. Oh, Nathan is our neighbor. I hear it getting louder and louder.
We might get rained out of this live
Yeah.
stream.
And Nathan is our neighbor. He's sometimes in our videos.
I just came down to
He's in the well cleaning video. It's that guy who loved to clean wells. The foliage behind me is maracuja, passion fruit. It's still alive. Let's keep it at that.
Yeah.
So, maybe if there are any super important, you really want to know this kind of questions, post them now. And otherwise, I think we have to say goodbye.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's getting rainy and the light
Loud.
will go out in a bit, I think. And
it's off-grid live streaming.
yeah, yeah. Well, this is really
awesome.
awesome to
Awesome.
have rain. So we are really happy with the rain, but it doesn't really work for streaming. That's
Yeah. Firewood. Yes, we can buy cork. It's always the more expensive one, but it burns longer. So
Yeah. And you are allowed to buy. There is cork oak available as well, and that's from a maintenance of trees. So they
Yeah.
do take limbs of trees and stuff.
sometimes
So-
the trees die, and
trees
you can have
die.
that
So
wood. So
yeah.
yeah.
So but you can't just cut down a cork oak by yourself.
Yeah.
Officially. Yeah. And
How is your addiction to clearing land?
It's a very important question. Well, the season has started with this rain, so I can start using my strimmer again. And that was also one of the videos that I would like to make shortly, is to make a proper review of the strimmer. I didn't want to make one during the summer because it felt like really weird to talk about streamers in
When you're not allowed to use
when
them.
it's fire risky or the fire risk is super high. So that's why I waited.
But yeah, we're waiting for the next opportunity to buy more overgrown land.
Yeah, of course.
Always.
Yes.
And it's always a good video, so yeah. Okay, so I think we will leave it at that.
Yeah, I want to wish everyone who still has a Sunday left a beautiful Sunday. Hopefully with this kind of weather, but hopefully a bit sunnier.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Martin with double A. I can't help.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty, for the
super
super chats. And yeah, see you next week, guys. Yeah.
Next week, back to our usual programming.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
End the stream.
End stream. Yes.